never looks back. Looks back. Demons are crawling back to your bed, and they're calling out your name. Demons are crawling back to your bed. Demons are crawling back to your bed, and they're calling out your name. Demons are crawling back to your bed.
You can advertise your business on Night Dreams Talk Radio, and you will be heard worldwide. Why not contact us at nightdreamstalkradio@gmail.com.
Do you have a paranormal story you want to share on Night Dreams Talk Radio? You could be a guest. Email us at nightdreamstalkradio@gmail.com.
Good evening or morning, depending on your time zone. From the Pacific to the Atlantic to you worldwide. Get yourself a cup of Java and find a comfy, easy chair. And get ready for Gary and his guest on Night Dreams Talk Radio After Dark. And now, here's Gary.
And here I am. You're listening to me, Gary, on Night Dreams Talk Radio. Let's get our guest on. So let's do that right now. We're going to get Susan on. We're going to talk about her book, Mission from Venus. So we'll get her on here in a second, hopefully. And hi, Susan. How you doing? You got Gary here on Night Dreams Talk Radio After Dark.
Hi, Gary.
Well, how you doing?
I'm doing great. It's late here in New York.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I guess, what is it, 12:31?
No, it's only 11:30.
Oh, 11:30. That's early yet. It's not late to the 12.
Where are you? You're on the West Coast.
Yeah, I'm in a little place called Gig Harbor, Washington.
Wow, you guys going to get all that wind tonight.
Oh, we're going to get a lot. I tell you, we were talking about earth changes here just a few minutes ago on the show. I can tell you we're in for a big ride, I think, this winter.
Yep. I think you're right.
Well, I wouldn't stay in New York more than a couple more years. I'd sell your property and maybe head towards Mexico.
It's going to be underwater, isn't it?
That, or you could buy a boathouse.
Yeah, I'm not much for boathouses. I'm glad I'm a renter instead of owning. Imagine owning like a multi-million-dollar apartment and then the city's underwater.
Well, it could happen. A lot of people are in denial. And like I was just saying, from the equator going up to the UK, around France, Germany, the ocean is dependent on this warm water belt coming from the equator. And it's slowing down. And this year, they're predicting the UK is going to have the coldest winter they have had in the past 100 years. So I don't know if we're going to go into a mini ice age or an ice age, but it could really flip, and that's where I'm scared. Anyway, Susan, why don't you tell everybody about yourself, what you do, and then we'll get into, why you wrote this book and what the book is about.
Okay, I'd love to. Well, for most of my adult life, I've been a clinical psychologist in private practice in New York City, in Greenwich Village, actually. And the kind of psychology I practice follows Carl Jung, which means the heart of it is dream analysis, because I believe that the deepest, wisest part of ourselves, our million-year-old inner being, speaks to us every night in our dreams, whether we remember them or not. And I advise myself and my clients, if you have to solve a problem, if you don't know what to do, should I leave New York now, or should I stay, or should I be with this person or not be with this person, ask your dreams. Before you fall asleep, ask for the gift of a dream to advise you. And it may take more than one night to get the answer, but if you keep asking, your unconscious will work with you. The more attention you give to it, the more help it will give you.
Interesting.
So I've gone along on that, and I still do that. But about 10 years ago, I was told by an intuitive that I was a channel and that there was information in a chrysalis form that was being held by beings that really wanted to download it through my vehicle. But I was frightened. I wasn't sure whether they would be positive or negative, although my whole life I've had many beliefs about extraterrestrials and what's going on the planet and who's coming and going. But I was afraid to open and just let this come through. But after living with the idea for a few years, I decided I was told again, actually, in 2014 by a different intuitive, the same thing. And then I recalled that I'd been told it in the early 1990s. So I started taking the idea more seriously and just dropped my resistance and sat down and wrote my first book longhand, which was a ridiculous thing to do, and because I didn't know how to type. But then that book wasn't science fiction or fantasy fiction or particularly channeled. Maybe some of it was, but I wasn't consciously aware of that. But then I just got a very strong message that I was supposed to write a trilogy about beings coming from all over many universes, many galaxies, at this time to train to come and incarnate on Earth to help us make the transition into the fourth dimension, because Earth would have many challenges, not the least of which you're mentioning about global warming or whatever is changing on Mother Earth. And so I write now every morning. It just pours out of my fingers onto the keys. And I feel it's my meditation. And it's a great joy. And I've written the first 2 books of the trilogy. The first one has just been released as of November 1st. And the second one I just sent to the publisher.
Wow.
And it's in the process of being edited. And I haven't written the third one yet, and I don't know what it will be called, and I don't know what will be in it, because they haven't given it to me yet. Because I've been busy editing the second one and launching the first one. So I feel tremendously lucky and overjoyed to be doing this. After, I'm not young anymore. I've had a career for over 30 years, a different career, and to be having the gift of being able to write down this information, which is very hopeful and joyful. And the book, I guess the first book, can be kind of described as a romantic science fiction or fantasy fiction novel about stuff that I believe to be really happening and true.
Now, I got to ask you a question. Now, I'm sure you know who Whitney Stryper is.
No, tell me.
Oh, well, he was one of the first abductees to come out back in the late or mid-80s, where he was abducted and had an implant put in him. And I mean, when in the ufology, he's like the major person that, claims that he was abducted. He wrote a book, him and Art Bell. Are you familiar with that?
Oh, Art Bell I know
Yeah.
very well because of, Coast to Coast and Midnight in the Desert and I know that he died last year.
Yeah, that was really hard.
I guess a lot of you were very sad.
Oh, I know I was. He was a personal friend of mine. And, before he died, like 3 days, maybe 4 days before he passed on, we were talking on the phone, and I said, I'm going to go on eBay and get the book that you and Whitley wrote, The Global Superstorm. And he kind of chuckled, and he goes, well, you might find one with an autograph, but you're going to pay a lot. Well, then over the course of the I think Friday or Saturday, I find out he passed on. And I was really depressed because I'd known him personally. I mean, I would go up there every summer and spend a day with him, and we just talk. I've been in radio off and on since 1976 doing talk shows, too. And
You were colleagues.
Yeah, well, I find out he passed on. I was really depressed. My wife goes out to the mailbox, or my daughter goes out to the mailbox, brings me a package, and I'm looking, it's from Pahrump. And I realize, hey, this is from Art Bell. I open it up, and guess what? Global Superstorm.
Of course. Oh.
But
one of the last things he did.
Yeah, but the thing is, I look at the book. The book was written, about 20 years ago. But all the stuff that him and Whitley talked about, like Earth changes and all this stuff, is all now happening. So they were off
to pass.
Yeah, they James, what was the movie they made off the book?
Day After Tomorrow.
Day After Tomorrow was made from that book. I'm sure you've probably seen that movie.
Yeah.
And
oh, wow.
Well, I had Whitley on my show last week, and he just wrote a new book, and it's called A New World. And
I saw that on your website.
Yeah, and what
on your show site.
Yeah, you should listen to the interview. All of a sudden, all these years that, he has been basically raped by these aliens. They've abducted him numerous times, have tortured him, gone through a whole bunch of stuff. Now he's kind of, how can I say it? He's starting to realize they're trying to communicate with him, but we're not, as a human, smart enough to realize that they're trying to communicate with us. Now, he still has his implant removed. They actually tried physically. Medical doctors actually tried to remove it, and it would move every time they would go in with the scalpel. The thing would move in his ear.
Whoa.
So he decided not to have it removed. Now that all of a sudden he's getting these thoughts at night. So then he gets on the computer, and all of a sudden, without even realizing, he's typing stuff, and it's coming up with answers. So he after all these
They're
years...
transmitting to him.
Yes. And did I say that right, James?
Yeah, pretty much. When they tried to take it out, it would move like it did not want it to come out. And Whitney believes that that's how they're, we're not intelligent enough to really communicate. So he believes that they communicate with him through this device, and it's a lot to do with synchronicities. So in other words, he won't get the answer to maybe next day or something, when he'll do something, typing or reading something, and the synchronicity will come in, and the answer will be there through synchronicity.
And it's only been going on for like the past year. This has been happening to him. So
wow. And he's okay with it. He's okay with it now.
He's